So in 32.2, we have a statement, Ibio, to those Mazda Ahura, who is Saremno, the root is Sar, and it's an important root, with good mind. Yeah? Uh, and who is also, now you have to go to the end of the second line, who is also the good companion, Hushacha, that should stand for Hushacha, with sunny rightness. Now let me look with you at this word spelled Hushacha. The Vedic cognate of the second part is Sakhi, Sakha, and so forth. That is from a root which in effect means to adhere to stick to. That root you find in Iranian as hach and gives you meanings of adherence, of being close to. So an ally is, or friend is someone who is close to you, who sticks to you. And ultimately like Latin socius, from which we get social. That's a cognate. Now, the S of the Indo-Iranian becomes H, of course, in Iranian in initial position. Now, if you have a preverb who, in this instance at least, not in all instances, but the who, if it's an old compound, it preserves the Indo-Iranian form. And the situation is that there's a rule called the Ruki rule, or with Iranian, the Fruki rule with an F, that the after a R or an I or an U or a velar or an Iranian a F, the old S turns up as sh. So we have here a preverb who, earlier su, but for Iranian purposes, who means good. And so you get hushacha is what you would expect, as though it were Vedic sushakha, because that Ruki rule applies in Indic too. Now, the way the word is written, they have both their cake and eat it, so to speak, because you have the sh of the hush, but then they know that if the prefix weren't there, it would be hacha. So it's hush hacha, but it was probably pronounced hushacha without the h. But that's clear to you, yeah? Yeah. Okay. So semantically, what is important is that the idea of a close relationship, of a close connection, is there, just as in Saremno, with regard to Wahomana, you have the idea of union or connection. So these two entities, namely good mind, Wahomana, and Asha, the sunny, are both related to or connected with, or maybe even you can say united with Mazda Ahura. So this expresses a theological doctrine that you have Mazda Ahura and his two closest entities were all in a state of close relationship, and sometimes it's said that their qualities are all the same. So there you have theologically a singularity, which is a plurality at the same time. Now, I don't know, I can just run through this very quickly, but I have the notion that in Yasna 32:1, the preceding stanza, the first two lines have a kind of echoic. The first line is in some ways echoed by the last. So that's very clear from, let's say, Ahya plus Ahurahya. Urazanam plus what we have to pronounce as Razma. That Urwazima goes back to an earlier two syllables, Razma. And Mat Aryamna Mazda'a. So you have a correspondence of sounds. And then if you take them in terms of forward groups, you have what I regard as originally Manai, which echoes the Mana of the Aryamna. So this is only in terms of sound. And the initial sounds you get of the phrase Ahya Wurzanam Awa, then Wurzanamat, Wa Ma. So you take the Wa second time with the Ma. Then you take the Mat with the A, and you get Mat A Ma A. So you get Awa, Wa Ma, Ma A, and in the second line, Ma A, Awa, Wa Ma. In short, you have the initial sounds of all three entities, Mazda Hura, Wahumana, and Asha Wahishta. Where the Wahishta is made clear at Yasna 28:8, which also has the verb yasa. So the cha at the beginning of Yasna 32, Ahya cha, and is why and? Because the audience will remember Yasna 28, which I reconstruct as very close in its history as a precedent to Yasna 32. That is to say, in the flow chart of the poems, 28 comes shortly before 32, as does 46. So in Yasna 28:8, you have the full epithet of this entity, Asha Wahishta, spelled out. It's interesting that in Younger Vesten, Asha Wahishta is canonical. It's usual when you speak of the entities that are close to Mazda Hura, it is Asha Wahishta. Whereas Asha by itself is just the opposite of Druj in the opposition of Asha rightness versus Druj wrongness. So Asha Wahishta is a specific divine entity which is close to Mazda Hura and Wahumana, except it's usually just called Asha in that context, in the Gathas, not in Younger Vesten. So Asha is ambiguous in its occurrences. Sometimes it means Asha Wahishta, a specific entity, and sometimes it is Asha rightness as opposed to wrongness. I think it's for poetic reasons, and I find it difficult to speculate exactly why, but one can spend some time thinking about why Zarathustra had it both ways. Uh, but that is the situation. So I'll stop here, and perhaps you have something to say on that.
No, I think this is pretty clear. I was wondering, like, when we talk about the entities close to Ahura Mazda,
Yes.
and then yeah, we can say there is Asha Vahishta, the best truth, I think, or the best rightness, and
Rightness, I prefer the truth. Yeah.
so if we talk about the opposite, then Asha is opposite to Dorj, but do we have Dorj like a deified or like a personalized as the maybe the worst wrongness or something like that?
The Druids, you say.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
yeah. Um, oh, so you're asking a question. Is there a worse Druid
yeah, which is
in
the
contrast
opposite
to,
of the
no, no, no. Because when you talk of Druid versus Asha, it's a
Mm,
different situation than Asha Wahishta, which it just occurs as these uh, uh, together with these other chief theological entities,
mm,
um, which form a kind of union with Mazda Hura. There are more than these three entities, Mazda
mm,
Hura, Wahumana, Asha, Ohesha. There are others, and I think they're all lords. They're all Ahuras, and that
mm,
can be shown from the text. But these three pop up most often. So you can speak of a triad. It's not a
mm.
triad in the sense of the Christian Trinity, because
Uh,
it's sometimes more than three. And the characterization as a triad never occurs. They never say these three. But I think it's effectively for many texts, and certainly for Yasna 28, where every stanza of Yasna 28 has the three mentioned, although only in stanza 8 is Asha specifically Wahishta. So my theory is that the initial sounds of those four-word groups of the first two lines of the text, in that they overlap. You have to say w
mm,
overlaps with m
mm,
overlaps with a, and you can mathematically write them in parentheses to indicate their relationship, if you wish. That that encodes the idea of the three entities which theologically overlap. Hmm. So um, I think this is then decrypted in our next stanza too,
mm,
where the relationship is spelled out, as it were, and I shouldn't say spelled out, but it's made explicit, except that Asha is not called Wahishta
mm,
here. Uh, I should say that in the various following Gatha texts, um, you have phrases that repeat wa,
mm,
encrypting wahumana, and also one clear instance, at least, of wa alliteration. Uh, and it's quite interesting that the wa alliteration in Yasna 33,
mm,
33, um, 33 stanza 3, I'll just read it, but it begins, Ye ashauno Ashane Wahishto.
Mhm.
He who is the best person, nominative masculine, nominative singular masculine, he who is the best to the righteous one, Ashaone, where you have actually the word Asha in Ashaone
Yes.
and overtly Wahishta in Wahishto. And that continues, Waituwa Atwa Wurzana, so you get W, Ariamna Wa Ahura, we dance, we dance with Thwashangha Gawai at how Ashahya Anhat Wankush Wastre Manango. So there's a lot of w alliteration going on there. So the individual wama and awa occur in very markedly alliterative phrases in the rest of our corpus. And sometimes it's very clear that there's a kind of decryption, wama as wahumana, in the next phrase or something of the sort. So that's the basis of my theory. So now we have,
What I
yes,
have a
please.
question.
Yes.
The encryption doesn't correspond with ambiguity of meaning. It's not that if the yasna has ambiguity of meaning, there is encryption. And if the yasna is straightforward, then there is no encryption.
Wait,
Encryption
no, repeat the second part.
okay. The yasna 32 contains ambiguity of meaning.
It contains many ambiguities of meaning throughout, yes?
So the occurrence of encryptions, does it happen in the ambiguous yasnas, or is it scattered through the whole of the corpus?
When you say ambiguous yasnas, you mean the yasnas that feature ambiguity.
Correct.
I'll say that there is some ambiguity that runs throughout the corpus. So at the syntactic level, at the morphological level, meaning the grammatical level, yeah? And at the lexical level, meaning the word level. So you have word plays, two words that have the same sound but different meaning. That's one possible kind of ambiguity, and we're going to see, I hope, an example soon. You have grammatical ambiguities where you're not sure whether the ending is, let's say, a nominative plural or a vocative plural, as in the case of daiwa, and so forth. So there's some ambiguity that runs throughout the whole corpus, but
Okay.
this poem features a lot of such ambiguity. Now, it's a question of whether one would call this encryption or this encoding that I believe is found in Yasna 32, lines A and B, is that ambiguity? That's a kind of terminological question. Not in the usual sense, but is there multiplicity of interpretation
Yeah.
there? The answer then is yes, potentially, because you could read this as everyone has for centuries without seeing this alliteration pattern. No, I see it there because I've
I
seen it
understand.
in the rest of the corpus.
So
So go ahead.
is it the feature of esotericism in the
Yes,
poem?
it is a feature of esotericism. And there are
Okay.
various species of esotericism, and there are various esoteric strategies. So you have esotericism at various levels. You can even say that the idea of one divinity, which consists of several aspects, each of which is individual and each of which is still part of the larger entity, that's a kind of esotericism. And he doesn't tell you that overtly. You have to infer it from the text. It has to be inferred, for example, from Yasna 32 1, our very first stanza, where in the C line he says, we shall be your, we shall be thy, thvoi, your, thvai. Yes, nice cognate with Russian tvaya, by the way. Your messengers, or whatever Dutongo is, messengers of smoke, both are figure, to holding back those who are your, plural, war enemies, or those who hate you, those who are inimical to you, really. So you have thy, tvoi, and war, your, singular and plural, in the same line. And this occurs elsewhere in this text. So there is a simultaneous address to Mazdahura as a singularity, and to Mazdahura, Asha Wahishta, and Wahumana as a plurality. So the esotericism is both in the doctrine and it is in the language itself, intentionally. One could miss it. Only certain people get it. Therefore, it's esoteric. So, yeah, so there are all kinds of strategies of esotericism in Yasna 33 that we looked at just before the Awa alliteration that I mentioned. You have the end of Yasna 32:2, which has Toy Warai Radanti Ahurachia Zaushai Mazda. Those achieve Radanti, your will, dative, and you have to say, and are in the Zausha, in the inclination, desire, taste, all of those words are in Zausha. Also, nature ultimately is a kind of inclination of Mazda Ahura. And in the larger context of the relationship with Yasna 32, which can be tracked in terms of the vocabulary occurrences, you have what I think is an oral acrostic. Warai radanti ahorahia zaushai mastaha for Wurazma, which is the bliss that we already know about as focal from our poem Yasna 32. That's esoteric. Only one person in modern times has noticed this. I don't know how many people in early times did. I think some had to. The one person who noticed this acrostic is yours truly, but never mind. So
But
that's yet another, you see, yet another uh, strategy of esotericism of language there.
yeah, but it's you notice it also because of the immersion in the language of the time, which is Old Western, should have you not known, should have you not abided in the this linguistic stratum, it wouldn't be possible to notice it. So there is a
It
chance that
exists.
the
It exists only in the linguistic stratum, this encryption.
right.
But
So
maybe I don't get what you're asking.
no, I'm not asking. I'm just making a comment. Thank you. That's satisfactory. I have other questions, but this will
Okay.
wait. Yeah.
Uh, Yesin, do you have any question?
Yes, actually, I have a linguistic question. So, I think you made 33 as an example. So we see Ashauna Vahishto, and
Mhm.
then we see the awa alliteration all the time. We have, but I'm wondering, like, what will you count as one example? For example, if we have at va, at is actually a conjoiner, and va. I wonder if we are sure that it is not a clitic anymore in this sense, because I think in general, if we have a enclitic, it's not the beginning of a word, but it's the end of the previous word, so that the initial sound doesn't count as an initial sound, so we don't do the alliteration with clitics. But I guess va is not really a clitic in this sense.
I think
Mm,
with regard to the alliteration scheme,
mm,
the clitic figures,
mm,
I think it does figure. Um, and let me look at that again. Yeah, I think the fact that you have wah, meaning or,
mm,
uh, once wa and then atwa, uh, I think it's intentional as part of the alliterative structure, the
mm,
uh, and both the particle at and the uh, clitic wa, I think they both figure. But
mm,
as for the syntax of the wa and of the at and all of that, when it comes time to talk the grammar of
mm,
this, uh, then forget about the alliteration pattern because it
mm.
has to make sense grammatically. Sometimes the syntax might be a little forced
Uh-huh.
because of the other purposes, but it still has to work. So I think a general moral is what is usual and unusual in the syntax sometimes depends on the stylistic purposes involved. So if one looks at the Gathas as a corpus containing various syntactic structures that are to be, as it were, unpacked, uh, then you have to determine whether there are other factors going on
Mm,
that dictate a certain syntagm. Um, so, okay, that's I think a general point
mhm.
because oh, I think this is true of poetic corpora in general. You have to take into account sometimes the poetic aspect when you look at the syntax. Uh, I think so. Um,
I
Can
actually,
I go ahead, Yesin?
oh, oh.
You were going to say something.
Yeah. I was just to follow up. So the hashtags, I think would you also call them Sijuras?
I'm sorry, the
Yeah,
hashtag symbol. That's a
yeah, I think
caesura.
yeah, Sijuras. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I wonder like if we have the patterns of awa, would Sidura be something that breaks them? So for example, 33 3b, would you say we have wa, regardless of the caesura, then wa again? Or do we say we have two a's before the caesura and two was after the caesura so that we have the like a double pattern be like
Uh,
across the caesura?
okay, let me have a look. But I have a general answer in a minute, but I want specific answer
Mhm.
here. Um, so in the second line, you have Ariamna wa Ahura,
Yeah.
we dance.
Yeah.
So there's the break, the caesura between Ahura and we dance.
Mhm.
Uh, and you can ask, is that still Awa,
Yeah.
despite the caesura? And my answer is yes.
Uh-huh.
That, yeah, that then you caesura it
Mhm.
doesn't, as it were, interfere.
Mhm.
My general answer would come from another example, uh, which I'll find in a moment. Um, mhm. I hope, yeah. Uh, just I'm looking at Yasna 45.3. Um, yeah, for Yasna 45.3, where you have many m alliterations. Sorry, many
Mhm.
w alliterations. W, which would encode mana wahu. Now, mana wahu instead of wahu mana
Mhm.
occurs a goodly number of times uh, as a variant, as a syntactic variant of the phrase wahu mana, mana wahu. Uh, and here we find in the three middle lines a kind of uh, filling of a sandwich of the outer two lines. The three middle lines, each of which begins with a relative pronoun,
Mhm.
uh, as mat widwa, mazdor wauchat, uh, maybe well, skip that for a minute. Manthrem warshanti, manaicha wauchacha.
Mhm.
Nice alliterative last line in ah, which echoes the first line. Uh,
Mhm.
so there, I think, yeah, I'm looking at the caesura there. Moa, moa. It doesn't seem that there the caesura interrupts the alliteration, but it's interesting that the midmost line there has where followed by monthrum. Uh, and if you reconstruct the where as wah, then you get wah plus the man of manthram, which suggests wahumana, that order. In any event, here I don't see that the caesura is a problem, but my experience with the alliteration pattern in general, I can give further examples, but it will take us away from our text. Uh, I don't think the caesura is a limiting factor with the alliteration patterns.
I see. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Olga, you had something to say?
I wanted to ask two things. Does Yesin have your Scream papers?
I think I had a number of papers forwarded to Yesin by Michael.
Yes,
Uh,
I have the I'm using the Weski version of the the text. So I'm reading all
Oh,
along.
no. Olga's asking
Mhm.
if you have any papers of mine which illustrate the kind of charting from between two poems, say Yasna 45,
Mhm.
Yasna 46 in its relationship to Yasna 32 as regards its word skeleton from beginning to end and from the end to the beginning, so that you can see that there is between the one poem and the other poem, there's a correlation of lexemes, um, which shows what the relationship between the two
Okay.
poems is.
I'm gonna
Uh,
check my emails. I think Michael forwarded me all the email chain.
yeah, it should be there. So,
Mm.
for example, with regard to Yasna 45 and Yasna 32, the relationship between the two poems, Yasna 46 and Yasna 32, which helps us understand Yasna 32 as a second stage of Zarathustra's history, so to speak, another poem that reflects on takes an original situation either further. So that Yasna 46 versus Yasna 32 was featured in my article in the latest volume in honor of Jean Kellens, which has a Spanish title, Homenaje, homage on the 80th birthday of Jean Kellens. So it's in that article. And when Olga says scrim, she's referring to my acronym for the phenomenon of this kind of relationship between two poems, which goes throughout the entire corpus. So you can chart not only how 46 and 32 are related, but quite a number of other poems. And by scrim, which is a nice English word for a kind of cloth that is opaque until you shine a light through them. And then you can see the light shining through. So if you have a stack of, in this case, poems, which are like the layers of cloth, once you understand the relationship, then it becomes, so to speak, transparent or at least translucent. So that's why I like the word scrim, but it's an acronym for serially corresponding, recursive, intertextual matches. I now say, I used to say mechanics, I now like matches. SCRIM.
Screaming.
Yeah,
Okay. Second question.
yeah.
Can relationships expressed by scream be considered as a form of syntax?
No, no,
So
it's
you see it as a completely independent phenomenon.
yeah. I
Okay.
mean, sometimes you can line up two poems, and apart from each poem having a sequential lexical skeleton or lexical scaffolding, if you want to take the architectural example, uh, no, syntax exists, in the level of the individual
Yeah, but maybe
sentence and
some
phrase
form of
within a poem.
some form
Doesn't
of
You can't speak of
extended,
syntax across you can't speak of syntax across poems.
well, extended syntax.
No, too
Okay.
confusing. I wouldn't use
Okay.
it. Don't gain
Okay.
anything by it.
Okay. Well, it would be interesting after Yesin looks at your scream, what his impression will be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
okay. Were you going to say something, Yesin?
No, no, no.
Uh, okay. Going back to Yasna 31:1
Mhm.
and 2. So you have some more entities here in addition to those three. So to those, I'm sorry, going back to the translation. To those, Mazda, who is connected or united with Wahumana, who is the close ally, the good ally of Sunny Asha. What did Mazda Hura do? He patim raut, he responded. Yeah, he said back, as it were. He responded out of his dominion. Hacha plus ablative is from or out of his dominion. And what did he respond? Is the last line. We choose. War madi, it would be 3 syllables, war madi, from the root war. Aorist here, third person, first plural. We choose, or yes, we opt your spenta armati, which is good, wahuim, ha ne anhat, may it be ours. Okay, so one has to discuss this line in terms of theology, starting with the meaning of armati. Armati goes back to aramati. Mati, thought, and aram, or ara, fitting thought. This is another kind of entity which is both transcendent and immanent. Transcendent in that it's a divine feature, immanent in that it's an aspect of the human mind. Proper thinking, conforming thinking. It can be contrasted in the third stanza with the word pyrimati in parimatoistra. Pyrimati is contrasted there with aramati. Aramati is proper fitting. Pyri gives you the idea of to the side, around. So there's a kind of thinking there, and there's a kind of opposition that we'll see that extends further between 2 and 3. So you have Asha versus Druj, for example. Now, so it would seem that from a theological viewpoint, Mazda Ahura, with his entities, says approvingly, we, to those guys, says it, Ibio, to those, we accept your aramati, I'll translate, spent as holy, your holy aramati, it will be ours, or may it be ours, Anhat, from ah to be. Okay, so there seems to be a kind of equation asserted between human aramati and the divine aramati. More I can't say about that. It's curious. Last time I went into the form, why is it R mati and not aramati? It scans as aramati, so we don't have to worry about the fact that in Zarathustra's time it was aramati, aramati, 4 syllables and not 3 syllables. That's one question, and my answer to that is rather complicated, but I think originally there was a hymn to a goddess, Aramati, in a lost yasht. And the yashts, the old yashts, can be shown to go back to a meter of octosyllables, 8 syllables, 8 syllables, 8 syllables. I think a totality of 11 usually, which corresponds to one of the Vedic, don't remember which verse pattern, but so
8 syllables.
epithets.
Gayatri?
Sorry?
You mean the 8-syllable ones?
Yeah,
Is it Gayatri?
I think it's Gayatri. Yeah, I think it's Gayatri. And so divine epithets in their full form are also 8 syllables. So it's Mithra Yo Gauyuiti, Hauma, Ashawa Durausho, and so forth and so on. And in that extract from my article in Pinot, Petit, la langue poétique indo-européenne, I showed what I think the original metrics of octosyllabic verse in Old Yashtik, what they consist of in detail, that you have various vowel elisions and various vocalic appendices that give you the pattern. So I think something of the sort was going on with Aramati, and finally you get a contraction of spenta to and then rum. The schwa there was apparently eliminated. That's a complicated business, but the main point is whenever you see Armati in the text, you have to think Aramati. Then there's the aspect of the meaning of Aramati. For Zarathustra, it's not a problem. It's, it is a kind of abstract feature, if you wish, Olga, to call it a second. I know you can use a phenomenological term for this kind of abstraction, but what in ordinary speech is called an abstraction, that's what it is. It's an abstract entity, but there's a problem because in Young Avestan, it is very clear that we have an earth goddess here, Aramati. Never mind the etymology, it is an earth goddess. It's not an earth goddess in the Gathas. What was it earlier? Well, hard to say, but we do have it in Indo-Iranian. In Vedic. There is a goddess Aramati. Not terribly common, but there are several hymns of the Rig Veda in which there is a goddess Aramati. In one line in one verse of the Rig Veda, it is said that streams flow over. So it could be like the earth there, could be the earth over which streams flow. And the commentator Sayana says that Aramati means Prithivi, means the earth. So there's a tradition in India too. I don't think it is from Iran. I think it's Indic. And maybe the ultimate meaning of Aramati is nature as a regular phenomenon with its proper rules, its regularity, its fittingness, as it were. And Earth may have been chosen as the primary example of that, perhaps already in Indo-Iranian. There's also a verse of the Rig Veda where it says, May Aramati, who is Vasuyu, who seeks goods, meaning treasure, meaning wealth, may she be ours. Syad Aramatir, Syad Asme Aramatir Vasuyu. May Aramati be ours, and perhaps even with that epithet Vasuyu, like Wahui in a way, the good one. That may be a correlation. So maybe Zarathustra is expressing a very old kind of phraseology here. I don't know. Just suggesting it as a possibility. Incidentally, you'll notice a bit of the wa wa pattern in this last, in the C line of Yasna 32, but I don't want to make too big a song of it. So much for Kshatrat. What shall we make of the meaning of the word Kshatra there? And Kshatra has several meanings. It can mean power and ability, but it can also mean dominion in the sense of something that you dominate, even as a kind of geographical notion. So the dominion of Mazda Ahura is like, the kingdom, for thine is the kingdom, and so forth, as a kind of geographical entity. So Mazda Ahura is in his dominion. And the dominion we see from Yasna 49 is also referred to as his house. So phraseologically, they're similar. And finally, the word Kshatra becomes Shasla, as you know, in Old Persian, with that funny sibilant, sla for thra. And that refers to the empire. Ahura Mazda gave me the Shasla. And the Middle Persian phrase, Eron Shah. Shahr means the empire of the Aryas, Eron Shah, whence you get Iran, from the dominion of from the empire of the Aryas, where Shah is a kind of geographical union, entity. And finally, in Persian, Shahr means city. Modern Persian Shahr is the ordinary word for city. So that's all I have to say about stanza 2. And we can move to stanza 3, unless there's some reason, I don't know, unless someone has to go. I haven't been watching the time. Uh, or unless there are questions on Yasta 32 too.
I have actually a very basic question. Maybe I was confused, but Varmaidi, so it's glossed as aorist and injunctive. I was wondering what's happening there because I think injunctive is just unaugmented imperfect.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm,
But apparently you can have such aorists as well. And I really can't tell you in detail.
mm,
Maybe when we're back with uh, Michael and Andrew, we can
mm,
discuss that. Um, but for the time being, it means we choose, not we have chosen, but we choose. Um, these injunctives, which is to say, forms which lack the augment,
mm,
they that's the usual situation of the Gathas, and I think that is because narratively they allow uh, the telling as something in the present and also something that's been true in the past. I think either in classical Ethiopic or perhaps in Amharic, I forget which, uh, you have literary texts which have the same kind of ambiguity with regard to present and
mm,
past in narration. There is uh, in in stanza 3, the last line, we have asru dum, which stands for asru duam, um, where you have an actual augment, uh, which tells you that it's really past that is
mm.
being talked about. So that is one of the very few augments that you have here. Uh, for those who don't know, um, augment is an Indo-European feature. Originally, it was an kind of
Mm,
prefix, uh, which tells you that something is uh, past tense. You have it as in ancient Greek. You have it in Old Persian. You have it in a number of Iranian languages still, or traces of it at least still. Um, so that's what we mean by augment. But augmentless verbs uh, occur throughout the Gathas as, I think, a narrative strategy. Um, you were going to ask something, Olga. I'm sorry, it's now hard for me to hear you.
Oh, I was muted. No,
Okay,
no, I reacted just to something that I could recognize.
okay,
That's that.
uh, okay. Um, Now, this IBO that begins Yasna 32.2, it clearly refers to those who make a righteous declaration or righteous oath. The righteous, I shouldn't say righteous declaration, but the righteous ones who declare Yasna 32:1, we will be your missionaries, we will be thy missionaries, holding back those who are inimical to you. Uh, the bad guys means something else by the same phrase, okay? We're going to be thy smokes to hold on to those who are who are inimical to you. So this IBO indicates the good group. As for the bad group, there is a double address. The first address is to the Daiwas in 32.3, but you Daiwas all, etc., etc. So he's now changed the discourse from addressed to the good party to addressed to the devilish party. However, it is within the ring composition that you have a second address, which also begins with IBO. Let me just find it here. Yes, in line 12, IBO Mazda Akamraut, Joi Geus Mornden Rachs Uchti Jotem. To those, Mazda answers. So you have a correspondence in the ring composition of the IBO and the Mazda and the Mraut. In this case, it's not Pati Mraut, but it's just Mraut. Mazda says bad things to those who Waksh, which should stand for wash, I'll explain that in a minute, Uchti, who with the oath or utterance that concerns bliss, deflect or somehow make go astray the life of the cow. Now, this word, what our text has it, urwach, I meant to urwash. In fact, there's another word in the Gathas, urwash, which means to go forward, to advance, to move forth. It is sometimes written as urwach. So urwash is sometimes in the manuscripts transmitted as urwach in some, some manuscripts. And I think that there was a scribal confusion between urwash and urwach. If this is to be read as urwash, which has no manuscript authority, but in other instances of urwash, you have confusion in manuscripts with urwash. If this is to be read urwash, then it is from the same root urwaz, earlier raz, that means bliss. And that, it can be shown that that root stem exists elsewhere. And uchti can mean oath, as in Armenian ucht. Ultimately, it means utterance or solemn utterance. So here in the ring composition, Zarathustra is giving the answer with IBO to the bad party. It's very interesting. So there's a double answer to the bad party. And we know they're the bad party because they have an uchti which concerns bliss. So that refers us back to our first stanza. And well, they somehow ruin the vitality of the cow, which may be a sacrificial reference, or it may be a symbolism that I don't think we should discuss right now. But at least that ibio is that we saw at the beginning of Yasna 32:2. It is picked up again significantly, opposingly, in a contrasting sense later in our text. So now we have the address to the Daiwas, but you Daiwas, and here it is a vocative plural, all of you, Wismangho, are Chithram, either in lineage or clearly. Here's an ambiguity. I think it's intentional, but I think the primary meaning here of Chithram means in lineage. In Old Persian, Chissa, when Darius talks about his lineage, he uses the word Chissa, which originally means seed. So, as for your seed, as for your origin, in origin, originally, as it were, kind of adverbial accusative, you plural are, sta, all from bad mind. And then you have to say, as is, Yascha wa mash yazati, Drujascha parimatoisha. You're from bad mind, Drujascha parimatoisha, and from wrongness and from contempt or something, the parimati, as is whoever, yescha, and whoever, yescha, or mash yazati, whoever worships you. The mash, which is from maz, can mean greatly or the person who especially greatly worships you, something like that, or the so-called great person who worships you. There's a problem with mash, exactly what the status of mash is. But so here you have the lineage, as it were, of the Daiwas. They come out of bad mind and wrongness and contempt or the like, parimati. You know, in Greek, sometimes peri can mean something like periphono. I look down. Words with perception and peri often have a pejorative meaning in Greek. So that's this kind of pari here, like the Greek peri in that sense. Any questions to this point? Yeah.
Chisla, silsila is not related to chisla.
What's Chisla?
You spoke about lineage
Mm-hmm.
transition, so I don't know if silsila is Arabic.
Wait. It's Arabic.
Arabic. Okay, scratch it then. Pari,
Yes, yes.
it's not related to, I think, Middle Persian.
Is it related to
Peri in Middle
Perry in
Persian.
Greek? Perry where?
Middle Persian or Parthian, I don't remember.
No,
Peri.
no.
Okay.
It doesn't occur in Middle Iranian. It's
Okay.
interesting that it doesn't, but it may occur as lexicalized. It may be unrecognizably part of some word. You do have survivals of forms of peri, but peri meaning around or the like, that preposition, sometimes postposition, doesn't occur in Middle Iranian. I don't think so.
Okay.
If so, it would be no. I don't know of it in the Middle Iranian, so it doesn't occur in Middle Iranian. As for the word, just for your information, since you asked, the word you refer to, silsila, has certainly nothing to do with chithra. It is a word in Arabic which means a chain. So if you have a lineage of teachers, let's say,
I know.
so it's the katena, so to speak, is a chain. And the word is a perfectly good Semitic word because in Hebrew, shalshelet means a chain, ordinary word for chain.
That's interesting.
Okay,
Yeah,
nothing
okay.
to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, so in Vedic we have chitra, which means shining.
Mhm.
This, yeah, but yeah, semantically it feels differently from lineage.
Yes, of course.
Uh,
So
are they
the homophones. What I'm
the
saying is
harmful?
that, is that you have two chithras
Mhm,
in Iranian.
mhm.
One is the word for seed, equals, we do have chitra in Sanskrit, no? Chitra?
Yeah,
Apart
we
from,
have chitra.
Yeah,
Sorry.
chitra. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So there are two different words. I mean, as for whether they may ultimately be etymologically related, well, I mean, chitra means bright
Yeah.
and the like. And if you say it means white, then we might follow Hans Peter Schmidt's idea that semen is bright, is white, and maybe semen is the idea behind seed. So maybe the two chitras are etymologically related. I don't know. There are other ways, perhaps, of giving them etymologies. I mean, we have a root chit to discern from which chitra would come. As for seed, I think I once had the idea that maybe this chi can be used to plant in a row and hence seed a chitra in that case, but I don't know.
Wait a second. Isn't seed bija?
That's Sanskrit.
Right. But chitra
This
is
is not.
Sanskrit.
This is the word
Really?
bija doesn't occur in Iranian.
Right, but chitra.
There are different words for seed. Different
Okay.
words. At least
So
what matters is that this in Iranian chitra means lineage and so forth, and ultimately
okay.
seed. Yeah.
Okay, doc.
Yeah. Okay. There may be a word nechotinese that's cognate with bija, but that's beside the point. Anyway, I think the importance of the possibility of chithra, meaning not only what is obvious lineage, but bright, but clearly, the idea of clearly may be important in our text because in stanza 5, you have the last line, last hemistic, ja fracinas, juguantem shayo. That requires further discussion, but it does indicate that one can recognize, one can distinguish fracinas, the juguant, the wrongsome one, in a certain way. So it makes sense to think that one of the possibilities is you clearly are of a wrong mind, et cetera, you die with. Because if one makes the proper discrimination in the world, one can somehow recognize who is the wrongsome one. So this is another instance of probable intentional ambiguity with this word chithram. There are instances like in Yasna 45, I think it's there, in which the word chithra occurs in a few instances where it means clearly. I don't want to waste time looking now. You can, Yasna 45, stanza 1. It is clear, all of this is clear. Nu im wispa chithra zi mazdong hodum. All of this is clear. So keep it in mind. So comprehend it. So understand it. There is chitra, and he uses it elsewhere, chitram, I'm sure. So that's interesting. That chitra does have this secondary possible sense here. Any questions? Now, there is, to some extent, a dualized vocabulary that Zarathustra has inherited, whether he contributes by neologizing, by coming up with new words, we don't know, but we do know that certain words are used pejoratively. Most clearly, the word ashi. For example, the word for eye means eye of an evil person or creature. And there are other words. The root dwar refers to motion of evil entities. So the word xiaomang, which really stands for xiaomang, with the first m making the second n into an m, xiaomang api gabitana. You have to read that zbitana. Yash asrudum for asrudum, bumia haptathe. And I think zbitana means duplicitous. I don't think it means again and again. I think it means having to do with doubleness. Dbita means second, and I think this is a key word, duplicitous. And refers to the fact that the demonic force can say one thing and mean another, as we've already seen. So you are, rather, duplicitous are the actions. Xiaoma contrasts with the ordinary word xiaothna. Xiaothna from the root xiao, to proceed, to move, to move, yeah. Agere, like Latin agere, actio, so it becomes action. Xiaothna is the ordinary word for an action. Pejoratively here, it's xiaoma, which doesn't exist elsewhere in the Gathas. So those doings of yours, you have to find some kind of pejorative tone. Your doings, let's say, are duplicitous. Moreover, happy. Through which things, through which doings, yaish, through which things, asruduam, you have become heard or you have become famous in the seventh part of the earth. Bhumi is earth. You have that in Vedic, Bhumi, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still survives in Persian, boom. So the seventh part of the earth, could you speculate, Yesin, what is meant by the seventh of the earth? In the seventh of the earth.
Feels like the continents, but it should not be that.
I'm sorry, continents.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's it.
that's it. Oh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I think there's already an Indo-Iranian view that
Mhm.
there are seven basic continents. Continents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're called in Iranian Karshwars.
Schwarz.
Yes, Kash, it's sorry, Karshwar.
So the
Karshwar. From the root karsh means to draw, as in attract, T-R-A-C-T. So you make your boundary, you draw a line between this tract, from Latin traho, to draw, this tract and the next tract. Each tract, as it were, is a continent. In Persian, this is called a haft kishvar, the seven Karshwars. Yes?
Jar of
Yes,
borsch
yes, yes.
belongs
Yes,
to
yes,
them.
yes.
Aha.
So
these are not planes.
someone we know made a drawing parodying the seven continents. One of the continents in reality is Waru Jarshti, Waru Jarshti. And the others have similar names. So this acquaintance of ours drew a jar of borscht, of beet, what in Russian is called borscht, a jar of borscht in the kitchen as a pun on Rojarst or something of the sort. I don't remember. Anyway, yes, the half
So these are continents, these are not planes. Like Harkalia will be something entirely different.
Well, I don't know. There's a bit of a complexity. These are concentric continents. Yeah. Or I don't know. Now, I'm not sure of the concentricity, so I don't want to commit myself to that. Only one of them is habitable of these continents. I think the central continent is habitable. This notion You have in Persian also the idea of haft achlim, achlim with
Uh-huh.
which is from the Arabic adaptation of the Greek word klima, meaning a climb. So you have 7 climbs. I think that the idea that you have in Arabic, and thus in Persian and so forth, of 7 climbs. Offhand, I don't know if there are heptaklimata in Greek, but if there are, and even if there aren't, the notion of 7 climbs, I think is related to the 7 Karshwars. And this is an Indo-Iranian idea, one of many heptads, groups of 7 that you have very frequently in the ancient world, including in Mesopotamia. Groups of 7. So there's 7 in later Avestan thought, 7 Ameshaspentas, not Gathas. So various groups of 7. I can't resist a story. There was a great folklorist named Dovnoy, an Israeli. I once had the pleasure of meeting him. Outstanding man. Knew ethnomusicology, knew a great deal. And I asked him, Professor Noy, with regard to the canon of 7, do you trace it back to the Babylonian notion, let's call it Mesopotamian notion, of 7 planets? And Professor Noy said, as for the canon of 7, there are 7 theories about them, of which the planetary theory is one. And he named the other 6 theories as to why you have a canonicity of 7. I don't remember, but I thought it was rather funny that he said there are 7 explanations. So I don't know. It's 7 groups of 7 are a big deal in the ancient world. Very important for the history of ideas. No, I'll stop it at there. It's certainly in Islamic Persian literature, it's still a very important thing that you have various groups of 7. But I'll stop it there. I could digress.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So
yeah,
it is duplicity whereby the demons have gotten respect throughout, so to speak, the world. That's all that this means. Unto the 7th, meaning the 7th Karshwar. Haptante. Yeah. Okay, how are we doing?
we're
Everyone
doing
happy?
15 minutes left.
We have 15 minutes left. No more questions. We can proceed. Any questions? Okay. Yesin, can you tell me
Yes.
if that word in stanza 4, framimatha,
Yes.
which means you order or you've ordered, meaning you've commanded.
Mhm.
You plural have commanded. If that is from fra plus man,
Mhm.
which is the word for to command, what grammatical form would this be? With its apparent reduplication, me, and zero grade of the syllable man, therefore just ma and not man. What form would that be?
Would it be perfect? But
Perfect form. Mhm.
the reduplication doesn't have an I there. So why do you have I reduplication? Wait, desertive?
Sorry? Yeah, it's from man.
The other thing I can think of is desertive, but
Desiderative, huh?
yeah, so we have a I reduplication and we have a zero grade.
Hmm. But we don't have a sibilant there.
Oh
That's the
yeah,
only
right.
sibilant. Yeah, there's an excellent reason that I ask you,
Uh-huh.
because I don't know offhand. I have to look it up. So I thought that I could avoid discussion of what form this is. Uh,
But
yeah,
the other case is just like Tishta, just like Tishta T. We have a it's just a
a
present.
reduplication. Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a
Tishta.
regular I reduplication and zero grade.
Uh-huh. Let's see what Uesugi, who lays out things very nicely. Let's see what he has. And I think in a matter like this, we can trust Uesugi
Mhm.
and Humbach, since Uesugi is essentially Humbach. Dr. Uesugi, so far as can be said to be a young Japanese
Mhm.
extension of Humbach. We'll wait to see if he produces further works, his own works. But what he has done is very helpful. And it's a very nice book, this Old Western Dictionary. I don't agree with it
Mhm.
much of the time, but it's exceedingly useful. Very pleasant book to use. Okay, 32, 3. Okay. So he takes this as second person plural. Just a second. Okay, what is interesting is that Uesugi
Mhm.
doesn't state the exact grammatical form, but he says you plural measure out. I think it takes as a present, does he? Yeah. Hold on. Just a sec.
It's a present. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes it as a present, not from the root man, but from the root ma, meaning
Yeah.
to measure.
Mhm.
So he says you have measured out. Uh,
Uh,
I seem to recall everyone else thinking that this is from Brahman. And so Humbach does. Humbach 1991 says, insofar as you order, meaning you command those worst things. So for next time, why don't you give it a little thought? I shall give it a little thought.
yeah.
I am not the best grammarian in the world. I find grammar a bit of a nuisance.
Mhm.
One has to do it, one has to know it, especially if one teaches, but there are times that I forget just what, do you have a zero grade form of man here with a reduplication? So what is that? I sometimes, I'm not so good at such things, so that we should take up again. Let me mention, however, that the word for man does occur in the Gathas, fra plus the root man, meaning to command. Semantics of that are interesting. Why the root man think with the preverb fra should mean to order, to command. That's an interesting question itself, but it's a very important word in, I think it occurs in Old Persian. Does that ring a bell? Old Persian framan, to command? Maybe, I'm not sure. There's a word in English, firman, F-I-R-M-A-N, which means an edict, a command document with the signature, always very elaborate, of a sultan. So it's an Ottoman commandment. That's an edict, that's a paper which has the hand stamp or signature, the tughra, as they call it, of the sultan, of an Ottoman sultan. That is a firman from the Persian word farman, which in farman, meaning a command. Sorry, farman. However, come to think of it,
I think
okay, I
ma.
got it. I'm wrong. Can you tell me why I'm wrong? That my thinking has been wrong. That my man has been wrong. My thinking. You were going to say something, Yesin.
No, I'm just thinking like if we have I reduplication me and then zero grade mn, but then we need a thematic vowel, so it should be me manatha.
Well, let me immediately say,
Mm.
thinking about Persian,
Mhm.
I know that the verb to command has the present stem farmai, farmudan, farmai. So the root is ma and not man. So I don't see any dunce cap, but if the word dunce cap, I would put it on my head and sit in the corner dejectedly because I'm misleading us. The root is ma and not man. So it's just zero grade. I mean, it's just ma shortened because of stress. And so it does mean to command after all, and not to measure out. Uesugi is, I think, wrong there, but he's right in implying that the root is ma and not man. So forget man. Yeah, in the nominal form you have fra ma, na, where the root is, ma and not man. It's not a full grade of the root man. So sometimes one just has these wrong associations. Of course, it's ruba. So you command from with reduplication, mima. You command those things and so forth. We can continue if everyone wants to continue. Are you watching the time, Olga?
Yes.
And how much time do we have?
3
After I
minutes. If we count the class for 2 hours, then it's 3 minutes left.
Yesin, shall we terminate in 3 minutes?
I guess so.
Maybe you need a little rest, a little sleep.
Yes.
Well, he actually needs to, it will be what, 7:30. So it's the beginning of the work day. Or today, what would it be?
So
Monday.
we have then 2.5 minutes. Yesin, do you have any question?
Yeah.
No, actually, I think it's more like a comment. I think I do agree with the Ma analysis, and it will
Yes,
be
let's
exactly
forget my idiot man analysis. Yes, go ahead.
No, I mean it's then it should be just like Tishda. So we have Tishda T, and then here we have
from
Mima T.
sta. So the shortening is to be expected.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
good. Very good. So you command those things which are the worst that people bring about, or which the worst people bring about. So when we resume, we'll contemplate this, I think, intentional ambiguity. Is Achishta the worst, going with Marshia, mortals, people, plural? Ergo, masculine, plural? Or is it a neuter plural, the worst things? Or is it both? I think it is both. So that is something we're looking forward to talking about. And people growing, becoming the beloved of the Daiwas, the Daiwazushta, and so forth. So I think the rest of this verse, which should be approached carefully, we can leave till next time. And we can have a little review then next time too.
Yeah, I wanted to say that if you go too much forward, you lose the part of the group which was meeting yesterday.
Okay. So we can officially adjourn for now, yeah?
Adjourn, stop recording.
Yeah, well, thanks